Just imagine, if one morning the whole world woke up to weather so drastically changed that within a few hours, major cities turned into icy graves, and people didn't even have time to escape. Today's story is about such a terrifying catastrophe, where the world dismissed a scientist's warning as a joke. But by the time the truth became clear, it was far too late. The story takes us to Antarctica, the coldest place on Earth. Everywhere you look, there is nothing but ice. In this frozen landscape, scientist Jack is conducting research with two of his colleagues. Their team is collecting glacier samples to understand the direction in which Earth's climate is heading. Everything is going normally until, all of a sudden, the ground begins to shake violently. Within seconds, the thick sheet of ice beneath their feet splits apart, creating a massive crack. Amid the chaos, their teammate Jason slips and starts sliding toward the deep chasm. He is moments away from death, but at the last second, Jack and Frank manage to pull him back to safety. The immediate danger passes, but a new problem arises. All the ice samples they had worked so hard to collect are left stranded on the other side of the crack. Without thinking twice, Jack risks his own life. He leaps across the gap, gathers the samples, and jumps back the same way. His bravery leaves the entire team astonished. The next day, the story shifts to New Delhi, where leading climate scientists and leaders from several countries have gathered for an international climate conference. Jack is also present on the stage. He warns everyone that Antarctica's ice is melting much faster than expected. This is disrupting the balance of the oceans, and if it continues, the entire planet will face a devastating climate crisis. According to him, the future could bring catastrophic storms capable of covering the world in a thick layer of ice. However, the Vice President of the United States dismisses Jack's warning, arguing that economic problems deserve greater attention. He believes it is better to deal with current issues than worry about a distant threat. Calmly but firmly, Jack explains that if humanity itself isn't safe, then no economy will matter. His words create tension in the room, and the meeting ends without any concrete decision. Meanwhile, the weather begins changing dramatically across different parts of the world. Temperatures plummet in some places, dangerous storms arise in the oceans, and cities like Tokyo, Japan, begin witnessing unusually large chunks of ice falling from the sky. It becomes clear that nature is preparing for something enormous. The story then turns to Jack's family. Because he has spent months immersed in research, he has been away from home for a long time. During a phone call, he learns that his son Sam has failed one of his subjects at school. He feels hurt that this was hidden from him. His wife Lucy tells him this isn't the right time for that discussion because Sam is leaving the very next day for New York with his school team. She wants Jack to meet and talk to him personally. The following morning, Jack drives Sam to the airport. Sam departs for New York with his classmates for an academic competition. Among them is Laura, a girl he secretly likes. After arriving in New York, Sam notices something strange. Thousands of birds are leaving the city together, flying rapidly in another direction. The sight is so unusual that it fills everyone with unease. Elsewhere, meteorologist Professor Terry is monitoring global temperature data. Suddenly, he notices that temperatures are dropping at an alarming rate in 3 different regions. He immediately realizes something is terribly wrong. He quickly contacts Jack and asks him to check his email. As soon as Jack reads the report, the color drains from his face. He realizes that the global catastrophe he had predicted has begun years earlier than expected. He had believed it was still a future threat, but now its first phase has already arrived. Shortly afterward, live footage begins coming in from Los Angeles. Massive tornadoes descending from the sky are swallowing buildings, roads, and entire neighborhoods. People run desperately to save their lives, but the storms move too fast for anyone to escape. Within moments, a modern metropolis begins turning into a pile of rubble. Following this horrifying destruction, an emergency meeting of meteorologists and scientists is called. Jack attends as well. Many of the experts present have no clear explanation for the disaster. Jack then directs everyone's attention to the ocean currents. He explains that the balance of the northern oceans has collapsed because enormous masses of ice have melted into the sea, and that is the true beginning of the catastrophe. Jack explains to all the scientists that when huge quantities of melted ice enter the oceans, the sea's natural balance is disrupted. The salinity begins to decrease, and this change destabilizes the entire climate system. According to him, everything happening now is only the first sign of the real disaster. The storms yet to come could become the most destructive in human history. Unfortunately, most of the people in the room dismiss his warning as an exaggeration. However, a few scientists trust his research and decide to work with him to uncover the full truth. Jack and his team, along with Professor Terry, continue analyzing weather data around the clock. After hours of research, the results leave everyone stunned. Their calculations show that within just 2 or 3 weeks, massive ice storms will strike, burying huge parts of the world beneath thick layers of snow and ice. The next morning, Jack immediately takes this information to the vice president. He explains that the situation is rapidly spiraling out of control, and unless major cities are evacuated immediately, millions of lives will be at risk. But the vice president still doesn't believe him. He reminds Jack that not long ago he had predicted this threat was years away. Jack admits he miscalculated the timeline because nature is changing much faster than expected. Even so, the vice president refuses to take him seriously and leaves without making any decision. Meanwhile, a rescue operation begins to evacuate people trapped in New York. Several helicopters head toward the city, despite the worsening weather. At first, everything seems normal, but as they enter the most dangerous part of the storm, the temperature drops dramatically within moments. The cold becomes so intense that the helicopters begin freezing in midair, and seconds later, they lose control and crash. The horrifying scene makes it clear that the storm has become far more powerful than human technology. Back in New York, Sam and his companions are completely trapped in the middle of the city. Continuous rainfall over several days has made the situation even worse. Searching for shelter, everyone heads toward a large library. On the way, Laura accidentally hits her leg against an abandoned car and suffers a serious injury. At the same time, sea levels begin rising rapidly. Within moments, water floods the city's streets, and the entire area is submerged. Somehow, Sam helps the injured Laura and reaches the library with the others. For now, the building becomes their last safe refuge. Meanwhile, Jack and Professor Terry complete a full map of the storm's spread. They discover that it isn't a single storm at all, but 3 separate superstorms forming over Scotland, northern Canada, and Siberia, gradually moving southward. In other words, the world is about to be attacked simultaneously from 3 different directions. The most alarming part is that Professor Terry and his own team are located in one of the affected regions. Jack urgently tells them to evacuate, but Terry sadly replies that they have already run out of time. Around the same time, Sam finds a telephone inside the library. He immediately contacts his father and tells him they are trapped there. Jack firmly instructs him not to leave the building under any circumstances. Another extremely dangerous storm is rapidly approaching their location. He tells him to keep a fire burning, stay warm, and wait for him. "I'm coming to get you." Hearing his son's voice, Jack makes up his mind. No matter what happens, he will go to New York and bring him home safely. Meanwhile, because of the constant rain and freezing conditions, Sam's body temperature begins dropping rapidly. Seeing his condition, Laura tries to keep him warm. She explains that if his body becomes too cold, even his heart could stop working. Just then, Jack is preparing to leave for New York when his superior stops him. He says that informing the president about the situation is the highest priority right now. Left with no choice, Jack attends the meeting first. During the meeting, he clearly states that the northern regions will soon be completely buried under ice. Saving everyone is no longer possible. Therefore, those who can still escape must immediately head south. As for the others, the only hope left is that they somehow survive the deadly cold. This time, the president believes him. Orders are immediately issued for the military and rescue teams to return within their operational limits and use every available resource to move as many people as possible to safer regions. Meanwhile, New York grows more terrifying with every passing minute. The water that had flooded the city only a short while ago has now frozen solid. Terrified people begin fleeing the city. Many people inside the library also decide to go outside, but Sam does everything he can to stop them. He explains that the cold outside is more dangerous than death itself. If they stay inside and keep the fire burning, their chances of survival will be much higher. But fear often makes people take the wrong decisions, and no one trusts his warning. Not everyone believes Sam, but some of his friends and a few sensible people decide to stay. Sam tells everyone to gather as many books as they can. Their purpose is no longer to read them, but to burn those very books to stay alive in the freezing cold. Soon, a fire is lit in the middle of the library, becoming their last ray of hope. Meanwhile, Jack sets out for New York with 2 companions to save his son. But so much snow has piled up on the roads that their vehicle cannot move forward. Left with no choice, the 3 begin traveling on foot. Everywhere they look, there is nothing but a sea of snow. Even the towering skyscrapers are half buried beneath it. During the journey, they have to cross the roof of a massive mall. Suddenly, the glass beneath them shatters, and one of Jack's companions ends up hanging over a deep drop. Just in time, Jack secures his safety rope in the snow, saving all 3 from falling. But within seconds, the remaining glass also starts breaking. The dangling companion realizes that if he tries to climb back up, the other 2 will also lose their lives. Without hesitation, he cuts his own rope. Jack tries everything to stop him, but the man smiles as he sacrifices himself so the other 2 can survive. Now Jack and his remaining companion continue moving forward, while back at the library, the night passes slowly. Laura cannot sleep because of the cold and fear. Sam sits beside her, and the 2 begin talking about their lives. During the conversation, Sam admits that he came on this trip only because Laura was coming too. Hearing this, Laura can no longer hide her own feelings, and the 2 grow closer to each other. The next morning brings another crisis. Laura's injured leg has become infected, and her condition starts worsening rapidly. If she doesn't get medicine soon, her life could be in danger. Thinking quickly, Sam leaves with 2 companions for a nearby stranded ship, hoping to find medical supplies. After searching for quite some time, they finally find the medicines they need. But then another deadly threat appears. A pack of hungry wolves, having caught their scent, enters the ship and attacks them within moments. During the struggle, one of Sam's companions gets injured. Seeing the situation deteriorate, Sam immediately comes up with a plan. He distracts the wolves and draws their attention toward himself, giving the other 2 a chance to escape. Then, at the right moment, he traps the wolves in another section of the ship and manages to escape as well. Without wasting any time, the 3 rush back to the library with the medicines. Meanwhile, Jack and his companion finally reach the outskirts of New York. Suddenly, Jack notices that the sky is becoming completely clear. The sight drains the color from his face because he knows this isn't a sign of relief. It means the most dangerous storm is about to arrive. He immediately rushes into a nearby shelter and lights a fire inside to keep himself alive. At the same time, Sam and his companions are also racing back toward the library. Behind them, a deadly blizzard is freezing everything in its path within moments. Somehow, they make it inside the library and shut the doors. Then, they burn every book and piece of wood they can find to keep the temperature inside from dropping. After some time, the storm finally passes. As soon as it is safe, Jack and his companion continue toward their destination. Along the way, they come across the frozen bodies of the people who had ignored Sam's advice and left the library. The sight makes it clear that going outside had been the biggest mistake they could have made. Gradually, the clouds begin to clear, and for the first time in a long while, sunlight reaches the earth. It means the devastating storm has finally ended. At last, Jack reaches the library. The entire building is buried under a thick blanket of snow. He and his companion make a way inside and begin searching every room for Sam. Then they notice a faint light coming from one of the rooms. As soon as Jack opens the door, tears of joy fill his eyes. Sam, Laura, and the remaining survivors are still alive. Despite the brutal cold, they never gave up. Sam runs to his father, hugs him tightly, and says he always knew his father would come to rescue him. It is an incredibly emotional moment for both of them. Now the sky is completely clear. The danger has passed. The government immediately launches rescue operations to safely evacuate everyone who has survived. In the final scenes, it is revealed that not only Sam and his group, but many other people across New York also somehow survived the catastrophic disaster. With this hopeful ending, the thrilling and heart-stopping story comes to an end. If you also think you could survive such a disaster, be sure to like the video. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more powerful Hindi explanations of Hollywood movies. See you in the next story.